When I give
This AI
some input text, it will generate
more text.
for us. Let's use this to create Deltarune Chapter 3 before it releases. Last time, Toriel's brother died. The girl who was with him died. Toriel, who was somewhere else, also died. But then she talked again, so I guess she didn't really die. Will the killing spree continue? Toriel, you're alive! Susie exclaimed. But your freaking head was split open! How did you survive that? Amethyst was just as perplexed. They'd witnessed a true miracle. Toriel, who was severely wounded but still conscious, was laying in her mother's arms. Don't worry, I will fix you, darling, she said to her daughter. Your father made you a shrine to me. I made it so when you fall to darkness, you would be welcomed home. I will keep the dark places away so you can return. I love you, Toriel, she said to her daughter. Mom, Toriel said, startled. She hadn't meant to say that, but it was too late. I am home, she finished, her voice cracking. Don't worry, my child. I will be with you forever, she whispered as she died. No, why is the AI so cruel? Now Toriel's mother is dying too. Toriel clutched her mother's corpse. Mom! She screamed. Mom! Oh, she's fine, the doctor said, bringing his hand down to Toriel's forehead. Just lost a lot of blood. She suffered a severe head trauma from the chaos that rained upon the city when the foam sprint triggered. She has a concussion and might have some memory loss. She does, however, have the absolute greatest soul, he continued. I can do that, Toriel answered. No, the doctor said. Mom, I can fix you. I can take the darkness away from you, she said. No, you cannot, the doctor said, shaking his head. You must be an earthly being. You cannot heal with the use of the soul. The foam spren were so powerful that they brought the most hardened souls here. She's nothing but a soul now. The foam spren did not affect her like they affected the others. You must go home. You must get stronger. You must prepare to fight. This is a war she cannot hope to win, the doctor finished. What do you mean? Toriel asked. You will have to explain yourself, he said, brushing her off. No, I can fix you, Toriel insisted. What an awful doctor telling Toriel that she can't save her mother. So void of empathy. And I have no clue what that foam spren is. Maybe some sort of virus? I don't know. The circumstances were dire. Both Toriel and her mother had severe head injuries. The doctor saw little hope for her mother to survive, but Toriel refused to give up. Susie and Amethyst stood silently, unable to say anything. Toriel used her own healing magic and her magic of walking to open the chamber's door and look down on her mother's weak body. Incredible, she knows the magic of walking. She probably learned that skill at Hogwarts. Wait, let me get this straight. She used her healing magic not to heal her mother, but to open a door. What the... As the moment went on, her mother's body began to respond to Toriel's presence. She sensed her daughter and told her that she had been there to make sure she was okay, and she had been good to her over the years. She then said, "Thank you, Toriel." Toriel, in an all-consuming sadness, held her mother in her arms, unable to leave her side. As she did so, Amethyst had the chance to have a few moments with the injured Toriel. She was able to talk to her as they both awaited the final diagnosis. Toriel told her that she would not have been able to survive if not for Amethyst. That Amethyst was the one who made her family strong, and that the bond they had created was a bond that could not be broken. Wow, just wow, Amethyst did save Toriel when she used the cursed gun against the snowman. This is actually 100% true. Amazing. And it's cute that she was able to create this strong bond in just a couple of minutes. When the final doctor walked into the chamber and was about to give the final prognosis, Toriel lifted her head and quietly said, "Thank you." Toriel left behind a handprint on the doctor's hand, a symbol that her strength, loyalty and devotion was unconditional. She walked out of the room to her daughter's side and held her in her arms. Then she died. There is no chance, it seems. The AI wants Toriel's mom dead. Like a sadistic, edgy teenager who enjoys tormenting Toriel. "Mom! Please don't leave me!" Toriel cried as her mother died. Tears flooded her desperate face, and she couldn't control her feelings any longer. Susie and Amethyst tried to calm Toriel down, but her mind lost the connection to the rational world. The emotions were drowning any other of Toriel's senses. Even the pain of her head injury was neutralized by the adrenaline. She was a picture of misery. She bit into her lip, but still spoke through the pain. "My mother and her. How did she?" Toriel trailed off as the teardrop hit her cheek. "Her heart. My mother's heart. It was the closest to a goddess it could get. It's the heart of a mother and all that. It's where all of that power came from. And it's Thorn. It's in me too." Toriel's voice had lost its steady calm. She was breaking apart. Oh, this is so tragic. She has a full mental breakdown. The AI is so cruel in this story. Toriel was a mess. A heap of sadness, completely broken. As if her mind was shattered into a million pieces by a wrecking ball. Her agonizing cries left Susie and Amethyst with an empty feeling of helplessness. They were at a loss. Toriel wouldn't stop crying. But maybe she shouldn't stop. Maybe she should bawl her eyes out. She deserved the chance to let it all out and heal afterwards. "Damn it! Can't we do anything?" Susie asked, while looking away nervously. Amethyst answered in a whisper. "Toriel, are you alright?" Amethyst pleaded while looking back at her. "What?" Toriel's face cracked into a smile. It's okay. I'll be alright. I'll be alright," she said, not realizing she was bawling as well. She felt relieved that her child cared about her, but it hurt her so much that she was crying. "Toriel," Amethyst explained. She explains nothing. She took a deep breath. "You bawled yourself to where you couldn't walk right, and you couldn't breathe right, and you couldn't see right, and your eyes were swollen and red, and you were shivering from cold, and your lips were chapped, and you didn't know what was happening and why, and you were dizzy and you couldn't see anything. We get it, she's a wreck. And it wasn't you, it was me. Toriel, I didn't do anything wrong. I only was trying to help. Thank you." Her mother was surprisingly sensitive and could feel her cries when her mouth was talking. Her father should be proud. Can you follow who the AI means when it uses mother or child? I don't believe that Amethyst is suddenly part of the dream of family. Maybe Toriel's head is just really confused and makes stuff up. Perhaps she's imagining her parents or something. Toriel reminisced about her late mother. These were the only thoughts her mind could construct in this moment of misery. She was holding the dead body in her arms, as if letting go meant accepting her mother's death, which she couldn't bring herself to do. Susie, who had always lived a rough life with little love and a lot of violence, for the first time shed a tear out of compassion. She kneeled down next to Toriel and began sharing personal stories. "Toriel, your mother loved you a lot, didn't she?" Susie forced herself to smile. "Cherish those memories. My mother always neglected me. She passed away when I was a baby and she took me away from home. I didn't even get to say goodbye. I came to this library and I asked for you." Toriel's face was a mix of guilt and confusion. Yet she wanted to say something to help Susie through her pain. Susie. Toriel sighed in frustration and jumped back, as if Susie had caused an earthquake. She ignored her and carefully patted her head. We'll always love you. So we are in a library and not the house of Toriel's mother as I first thought. I like how nice she is to Susie. The funeral procession through the village took over an hour, until the earth had finally settled down. That time, as the farewell was being sent, Toriel remembered something in her mind. She hadn't made a mistake in mothering Susie. She had made her the way she was and given her a loving home. For some reason, the memory made her smile and she touched Susie's head one more time. When everyone was finally in silence again, she took Susie in her arms again and set the body down on the pedestal. You're safe now, Susie. With those last words, she took a solemn bow and left the library, leaving behind her all of her burdens. That is a great conclusion for this little arc about her mother. Her mind is finally at peace and it sounds like she wants to adopt Susie or something along these lines. Susie wasn't sure how to process what she was feeling right now. Toriel had given her a true moment of compassion, the likes of which she had never experienced in her own family. Amethyst smiled. I'm impressed, Susie. You managed to soothe Toriel after this tragedy, and it looks like you also got something out of it. Susie felt a bit embarrassed. Hey, don't think I'm weak. There's just something in my eyes, damn it. Amethyst shook her head. What you just did was so powerful. You vanquished Toriel's sadness and pain. Perhaps this will inspire her to heal? Maybe. That could be a start. Susie didn't know what was wrong with her. She hadn't had much time to feel much at all after all. But she did know that at some point she would have to figure it out. She couldn't go on living like this. She had to find out. She had to find out what happened to her. Well, that was a good experience. And I bet that was exactly what you needed to make it through. Amethyst helped Susie up and then let go. I'm sorry I embarrassed you. You probably weren't expecting that. I don't really know Toriel all that well, so I guess I just assumed. It's okay. Susie waved her off. Thank you. Yeah, sure. She didn't try to get a better look at Amethyst. This probably wasn't the best idea. They are all getting along so well, this is lovely. So, what's happening at the house? It's just the way I left it. They walked in silence, heading towards the cabin. So, I guess I should have expected it. I suppose. I just can't really fathom it. As they were approaching the cabin, Susie saw something move on the other side of it. She didn't know what it was, but she didn't want to risk turning around and finding out. And who could, after all? If you think back though, someone seems to have been here recently. Yeah. She was determined to forget about it. No clue what they are talking about, but they saw something move and I have an idea what that could be. A big weight had been lifted off of Toriel's shoulders. There was still a lot of sadness rumbling inside of her, but the heartwarming moment with Susie was enough to push aside some of the darkest thoughts. Things were starting to get better, she said to herself. But reality was about to catch up fast. Amethyst noticed a man in the distance coming closer. She squinted her eyes. Isn't that Narlak? You thought Toriel's situation couldn't get any worse? Oh boy, the next part will be insane. Easily the best episode, so don't miss it. And since YouTube is absolute garbage when it comes to actually showing the series to people, I recommend subscribing and hitting the bell. Seriously, what is this nonsense?